Hi, John. Thank you for joining us.
Uh,
We have John Kelley on the show. John had an NDE when he was 19 years old. And since then, he's become an energy healing facilitator and instructor. So I'm excited to hear your story, John. Please just jump right in.
Yay, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Um, okay, I'm just gonna jump right in. When I was 19, uh, some friends of my friend Rick and his brother Corey decided we wanted to move from the northwest corner of Washington State on the coast. We wanted to move somewhere else and start over, go on an adventure. And uh, so we had enough money and um Rick had this little Ford Courier truck. And so all three of us are like shoulder to shoulder in this little thing and we traveled all the way down, and when we were going through California, the truck broke down and we had to spend money to fix it. Then we made it all the way to Arizona where we were headed, and then it somewhere along the way it broke down again. I don't remember. It's been 40 years or something, but but somewhere around there, and or less, 38 maybe. And so we fixed it again, and so we were really low on money, and that so that made it so we saved our money for gas, and we were going to find a job and look for work, but we ended up running around looking for money, like trying to get donate people from churches to give us money for food. And we tried the food bank and they wouldn't let us because we didn't have a state ID. And we ended up starving for, I don't even remember. Like maybe 10 days minimum or so, 10 days to
Oh,
2 weeks, we
God.
went without food.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
And after just days, like our hunger went away. We were drinking water for like out of gas station sinks, which is something I wouldn't recommend. And but back then I didn't know the difference. So
Right, sure. It's a survive. Yeah, you're surviving.
yeah, and we're in the desert. You got to drink water. And,
Right.
and uh so we're just at a at a certain point we were just like within day, I don't remember how long, but we went into this, all of us, just our minds were blank. And we were just like be in a state of being, just kind of like we had nowhere to be, no responsibilities, no, like we hadn't found work yet. And it was like the hunger stopped our minds or something. And we were just in this like state of being. And so somewhere along the way, in the no time of having, not paying attention to time because there's no reason to, uh, uh, the, well, a lot of things happened, but I'm just going to go to the NDE. And so, um, I had this huge burst go through me because our minds were like silent. We were just like in a state of nothing from being so, not eating for so long. And I got this idea to go give blood for money, you know, and and I said it to Corey and Rick, and uh, so we looked back then. There was phone booths, and the phone books were like in the Phoenix, Arizona. They were like 4 inches thick or four. They're
Right.
huge. And we found a blood bank, but it ended up being a plasma bank.
Hmm.
It was in Mesa, Arizona, right, a suburb of, it's another town actually, but they're kind of all together out there. And so in Mesa, Arizona, and um, so we found out where it was and we went there. It was really hot. It was like 120 degrees. and we had no air conditioner. We were in, I had a button up short sleeve shirt, unbuttoned, shorts and thongs, you know.
I love that you say thongs because, these days they say flip-flops, but
Yeah.
back then we said thongs, right?
Or
They're
now thong
thongs.
means something else, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I should keep that in mind, huh?
No, but I love it. We did. We called them thongs back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so we went there and we went in and there's a big desk area and they handed us, it was a plasma bank. They handed us these clipboards, to fill out. And over there in the corner was this huge rack of freshly baked bread from a bakery they
Um,
donated. And all of us smelled it. We looked at it. We looked at each other, and we read that it said you had to have 3 square meals a day for 7 days in a row before they could pull blood out of you. And we just signed it and gave it back and went over and grabbed bread and started eating.
uh,
And so,
right. That was your ticket. I mean, for you're surviving at that point, so
yeah, we were very happy. And,
yeah.
and then we're sitting there, and then we got called back, and it was a really big place. There was 4 rows of reclining chairs that you lay back in, and they hook a needle into you and drain
Mhm.
your blood. That sounds creepy, but
Yeah.
and uh and uh
And you said it wasn't like a just a little needle. Like this is a
it was like a
thick.
fork prong.
Ooh.
Like, I mean, that, they're pulling out a whole pint in short order, like
Wow.
it has to come out fast. And so uh so I was like 3 rows up facing the wall over there, one more row this way. My friend, I don't know where Corey was, but Rick was behind me against that wall. So he could see the back of my head over there from the side, from this side. And I knew he was over there. And so they plugged us all in. I was just looking at that needle. Like, like when it was coming towards my arm, I was like, oh no. And like, and then it didn't really hurt that much. And then so so I'm laying there, everything's hooked up. The guy goes off checking all these other people. He had a guy in a white coat with a clipboard, and uh, so I, not long after my blood started draining out, I started feeling like I was gonna pass out, like
Hmm.
like, and uh, I'm not one that passes out very easily. Like, I mean, if I got hit by a truck, I might, I don't know. And like, so uh I was trying with all my focus to stay aware, like to
Yeah.
pass out. And my head started rolling. I was like, ugh. And and it kind of turned that way. And the guy with the clipboard way over there, he like looked right up into my eyes and he's like, "Are you oh?" And he started to say K. And right then, my vision was like starting to, like speckles started in the middle and was spreading out over my vision. And this is all happening simultaneously. And I was trying to say no to this guy. I was trying to like getting ready to say no, I'm not okay. And
Right.
then it sounded like Velcro ripping apart. And I just exploded out of my body like the
Wow.
light speed, it was
Did you, so that Velcro sound like was kind of like associated with the exploding out of your body feeling, right?
separating from it.
Separating.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you separated from a certain point of your body, or was it just you didn't? Because some
Well,
people
I
say
just
they feel
heard
like they
like
come out of their head or but
uh
you were just out.
that's a good question. I never haven't thought of that. I heard it and I was trying I was getting like undone from my
Yeah.
uh and I was laying in a reclined position. And now that you asked that question, I blew out of my body like in that direction. Like, I
Uh-huh.
didn't even think of that before after all this time. I literally blew out of my body like at
In
the
a certain
while I was
direction.
aiming. Yeah, like
Wow.
think of that before.
So
And
it
yeah,
that happened like fast. And then so from there, what happened?
so I like I tried to shake my head no, and I just all the others everything happened at once, and I was out of there. And it felt like I still had a human body, and I like arced like this, and I said, "I'm finally free!" like, and like it was like, I mean, and then my whole body, everything from this world just dissolved, and like it was like it never even happened. My body, the memory of the earth, anything that had to do with this world was gone, and I was going that way like 45-degree angle or so. So like
So, yeah, when you said I'm finally free, and was it, were you feeling just like, I mean, how did you feel? Were you just like
ecstatic.
just ecstatic and,
Yeah, and then good question because as soon as everything dissolved and I was going that way, like it's really interesting because my body dissolved and everything with it, my memory of the earth, the whole experience was gone. And I was just like being going that way. And then this pure freedom, like sparked from the center of my being like the sun shining light and went in every direction and never stopped. It was just felt like pure freedom. And then this joy sparked off and from the freedom and was with the freedom, like it was joy and freedom. And it was really intense, but it wasn't overwhelming, strangely enough. If I had a body, it might have been. But I was going, so I was like, it was just freedom and joy, and I was flying
wow.
away. And then all there was like it was like everything stabilized, but I was still feeling it, and I like inverted my awareness, and I was looking around, and there everything was sparkling energy like this, and it was I was looking kind of with my awareness through it, like looking through my whatever the
Uh-huh.
whatever was going. I was like, what's going, like, and then uh I it was like I was in awareness that it didn't have a head. It was like my attention
Yeah.
inverted and I was looking around. I started becoming curious. And then I focused forward, up the line I was headed.
Right.
And uh uh I had this curiosity went through my being.
Mm.
Like in human words, I would have said, where am I going? Like I'm going that way. Where am I going? Like but
Right.
I didn't have human words. It was like this pure feeling of
Uh-huh.
curiosity. And right then, everything stopped. As soon as I had that, it was almost like I asked a question in a way. I had this curiosity. Everything just boop, stopped.
Uh-huh.
And everything, even the feeling of freedom and joy. And I was right below the belly of this massive ball of energy. Like,
Wow.
and I could see the line of energy that I was in and it was almost back I was being retracted back into this.
Back into it.
Yeah, but when I was curious, everything stopped. Oh yeah, this ball was pushing in on the membrane of this universe, like if you push in on a balloon,
Yeah.
and it was docked in the membrane of this dimension or universe or whatever this is here that we're in, the body of this dimension or something.
Uh-huh.
What I got was when I had the curiosity, everything stopped and I got this full being upload of the answer. And it was that's me, the bigger me
Yeah.
had docked into this dimension, but it wasn't in those words. It was more of a direct upload. And shot a piece of its energy all the way into this dimension and invested its energy as this here
Hmm.
for a lifetime. And everything's evolutionary, really. Like everything we do, we expand and grow from it. So I could see why that is. Why, I mean, because we're the same way here. And like, anyway, and so when my body was, when the body gave out, it was pulling its energy back into itself.
Right.
And that it was the larger eternal me. Like,
Uh-huh.
and the way I saw it, it was like as big as the moon or something. This thing was a massive entity, but size is kind of relative, you know,
Yeah.
like the earth feels big, but if you see a side picture of the sun, it's a speck of sand,
Yeah.
like, and it's all relative. So I don't really have a relationship. I mean, a way to measure that. And but anyway, it was so big I couldn't even see the rest of it. It was massive, and it was more like 50 feet away or 40 feet, like, and it just went on and on like it was this
Did
huge ball.
did I don't know that this is necessarily like an important question or anything, but did you notice if it had like a color or a certain, was it really bright or was and you said the speckles that
Not
you
much.
saw, did those have
Oh,
colors or did you see, anything like that?
what I discovered as I go further, you'll probably notice the speckles were a carrier for my
Mm-hmm.
awareness, the being awareness,
Uh-huh.
the pure energy being,
Yeah.
because those disappeared. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I got the upload, and then there was a shift, like
Hmm.
like that. I felt it. It was like whoop, whoop, and I was in another reality. And it was like the void, people call it the void. And it's
Yeah.
like my shirt. It's like the nothing. It's like the universe without stars or galaxies. It's just pure energy.
Wow.
And I was just boom, I was in there and I could see that I was just in a state of experiencing. I didn't have a frame of reference anymore because that comes, well, I don't really know if I would have later, if I would have emerged, if I would have went all the way back into myself. I don't, I'll find out someday, but I so I didn't, I was blank, kind of in a state of being, just
Yeah.
experiencing. And when I landed there, I am in the void. I've been there a few times since on purpose, like tuned into it. And
Mm-hmm.
and I could see this outline and I didn't know what it was. I was just seeing it. And it was of this body. It was like an energy blueprint, or because it wasn't solid like this. And part of my awareness was in it a little bit, and there was these huge bursts of energy going through it, like whoosh, and it was going huh, like that, and its arms would
Wow.
fly up like that, and
Uh-huh.
it had a full head of hair, like its hair would go like, it was like getting hit with these massive bursts of energy,
Yeah.
and I could feel it a little, but I was mostly here observing it. And on the third one, it was so intense, it pulled me fully into that energy form of this body. And I would have to say, I I didn't think of it then, but I was looking out its eyes or something. It felt like for like, and then I had this flash of the feeling of pure creator energy. Like if you knew that you were a creator being, what that would actually feel like you are fully aware of what you are.
Yeah.
And I felt it through my whole being. It was like this, oof, this flash. And then I heard this noise way over there in the nothing or in the void or whatever. And my curiosity like tuned into it. And I just went from like over here to over here and instantly boom towards the sound. And and I was just in another place in the nothing. So it was, I might as well not even have moved because there's nothing anywhere and or everywhere. And then I heard another noise. I was like being enticed somewhere. I figured this out later. I discovered it later. But I heard a noise way down there or kind of that way. And so my awareness went from like here to here again, but when I landed, boom, I was floating through this like big tunnel, like as big as this whole room, if not a little bigger. And it was like fog. It was like this white fog. I could probably perceive about this far in front. And
Hmm.
I landed and I was floating. And now that I actually thought of it a second ago that it didn't feel like that body I landed in was part of it. It was like I was just the awareness again,
Yeah.
floating. Like, and so here I am just sailing through this fog tunnel dimension or whatever. Da da da, like and and I ran into my right calf in this world, but while I it was like the dimensions are all blended or something. And
Interesting.
depending on which one you're tuned to will be the one that you're aware in or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see a leg. It was all fog, but I hit my leg in this world.
Uh-huh.
Like, and when I did, whatever the big ball, I'm sure was the one directing all this. And
Yeah.
I mean, like orchestrating it. And I felt that I urine, released all my urine because when you
Uh-huh.
die, you're not there to hold it together,
Sure.
and it all
That's just
out.
what happens, right? It's
Yeah,
a natural process. Yeah.
it's a cleanup party for the people who are left behind,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
yeah, so I know it's not funny really, but it's
I know what you, right. I know. Yeah.
so so that whatever was the whatever level of my being, the deeper the the fully aware level that was orchestrating this, like I know now what happened. It twanged like a guitar string. It's like out of all the strings, it twanged that one that was embarrassment, right?
Yeah.
I was still in a state of being, but all of a sudden I felt it. And I could sense people everywhere. I felt that in the urine, and I launched into my body and and locked down on all my, because the rest of it was going to come out,
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
other end and
Right.
whatever. And I stopped everything, clenched, and then the guy slammed me back down. Like,
Hmm.
so I launched in with that twang of that it was like it was momentary, just enough to launch me back in. And then he pushed me down and was slapping my face like crack, 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 like hard too, like rocking it all the way. And he was like, "What's your name?" Boom, what's your
Oh my God.
I'm surprised I didn't have bruises. And
I'm just,
like and
this
so
was a different time back then, or
yeah,
maybe,
uh,
I don't know. I mean, normally
they
you
weren't
hear
gonna
about
let
like
me.
the
Yeah,
sternal rub and all the, but you were getting slapped across the face.
yeah, I
I'm
think.
sorry, I'm not trying to laugh at your, but
Well,
that's,
I'm
some,
sure he was getting away with something. Like, and
that's,
he knew it.
that's
Yeah.
quite
Or it
something.
happened before, and he's like, "You're not gonna die on me." Like, and so, because that's a big place. There's like 60 chairs, and I mean, recline
Yeah.
four
Okay.
rows, and
Uh-huh.
so, so I was in a state of being again after that
Hmm.
flash of embarrassment, and then oh yeah, when I came through, I said, "Did I pee my pants?" I actually said
Oh.
something. And he pushed me down and said, "No," and then started slapping me. And he's like, "What's your name? What's your name?" And and finally I got this flash of irritation that went right through the center of my body and out the top of my head. Just a really fast flash. And I stopped my head and I looked him right in the eyes to give him what he was asking for. But I was in a state of, I hadn't rebooted yet. And when I focused to answer him, I saw in my inner vision this piece of energy like this. As soon as I focused to answer him, it appeared. And it was like this a pill, a long capsule of opaque white, and it the tip of it plugged into this hemisphere right here. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I had the answer. It was like it was in that thing. Like,
Yeah.
but when I focused to relay it, I called it back
Uh-huh.
and it plugged in so I could give him the answer. And then he's like, I said my name, and then he's like, I could hear Rick back there too. I could hear him. He's freaking out. He's like, John, John, John. But he couldn't launch because he had a needle in his arm. He couldn't
Right.
come.
He was stuck on the
Yeah, yeah.
table.
I don't know where Corey was in that whole room. And so to even to this day, I don't know. And so then he started slapping me. Oh no, some guy stepped in. Another guy was there. He stepped in and cracked a smelling salt under my nose. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, like it's nasty. And
Yeah.
and then the guy started slapping me again. And he's like,
Oh my
where are you? He's like, where are you?
God. Oh
And
my
and
God.
then because he knew I wasn't all the way back, right? And
Uh-huh.
so I got the same flash of irritation, and then I stopped my head the same way before and looked in his eyes to answer him. And then on this side, another piece of energy appeared. Boop! But this one had this swirling energy bouncing back and forth. Boink, boink, boink. It appeared, it was smaller than the other one, and it plugged in right here. So I had these two huge things sticking out of my head. If you could see energy, like cause
Mm-hmm.
and uh and I had my whole life was back. I remembered it was stored in my whole life experience was I think that's why John and the earth disappeared is because they got popped loose and stored
Yeah.
somewhere by that larger level of my being,
Mm-hmm.
and which has huge implications, but I don't even really know where it all goes, except for that they got popped loose and therefore I had no memory because
Yeah.
it was in those things of this life.
Wow.
And so the larger being, anyway, there's a lot of postulation to do on that. And so now I had my whole life back and I was back. And this guy says to that guy, should we take another pint after we spin this one out? And he's
Oh
like,
my
he's like,
goodness.
yeah, it won't happen again. And so they took this blood, or I don't remember if it was done, and they spun it out and put it back in my body. And I still to this day recall the taste of the plastic of the saline solution bag in my breath
Oh
because
my
it was
gosh.
permeating the water and it got into my whole body, into my bloodstream. And but I remember to this day, I was 19 then, and I'm pretty much 60 now.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so anyway, so yeah, they did it. They finished that one, put the blood, spun out the plasma, put the blood back in with the saline solution, then took another pint, spun it out, put the blood back in. Now I'm just laying there going through the whole experience like while this is happening and just re-experiencing it, like going through it all. And uh I had a lot of questions. And I was like I was just, how you process through experiences. And
Right.
and then when they were done, I jumped up to go get my money. That's why I was there to start. Well, I thought that's why I was there, but it
Yeah.
ended up being the beginning of the rest of my life
Wow.
and to what I am to this very day. Because and so I'll tell you why. But so I got up and I turned around and there's a puddle of urine after he told
Mm-hmm.
me I didn't
Yeah.
pants basically.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, looked around and I went and got my money and
Oh,
uh and then I went out and changed out, you know.
yeah.
I don't I just toweled off, I think. Like I don't even remember actually. But I remember swapping out my shorts and my shirt. And
And grab those thongs.
yeah, those are still on my feet.
Yeah.
Didn't ever take them off. And the whole time I died with my thongs on. Isn't that wild? I'm getting flashes of those thongs while I'm telling you this, like what they look like
I
even.
just love hearing somebody call them thongs again because
Yeah. Yeah.
but then
Flip
I
flop. I
died
can
with
see why
my
they call them.
thongs on.
Yeah, I see why they call them flip flops because they're like slap, slap, slaps.
Right, right.
And
Um,
so,
but that would be a t-shirt that would get a lot of people asking you questions. I died with my thongs on. I don't know.
ah, that's the first time I've ever thought of that, actually. That's
So
brand new.
not to not to make light of the situation at all, but I love that you have this sense of humor about it. Because and it can be so traumatic for so many people, going through this,
For
but this
sure.
seems like the thing that I always hear a lot of was people saying that when they get on that other side that sort of like what you described, it's like you forgot about everything and it just felt like it was like I mean, you were curious, but you weren't like did it feel like more like home to you? Did you feel any sense of that, or like I had been here before, or were you just still kind of curious and
When I look back on it, like I was
mm-hmm,
processing it,
mm-hmm.
I know that it felt like I never had not been that being. Like this never actually didn't happen. Like I never had not been that being.
You know what's interesting
Like
when you say that? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
it's
So
all
come
right.
back. So
I
come back.
invite.
Come back. Yeah, come back to what you're saying here in a minute. But the first guy that I talked to on this podcast, uh, his name's Bill Letson, and he said sort of the same thing. Like when he got on the other side, he was like, how did I even think that I was that person? Like, it's like a trick. Like,
Uh-huh.
this is really me the whole time. Like, how did I ever think that I was
Right
that
there.
guy? You
My
know?
license plate right there. True you.
And
Like
and so
like
yeah,
that.
tell me more about that, about what you were saying.
So so I didn't tell my friends because I was always the really imaginative wild one. I at that point been training in martial arts for 5 years or so, right around 5.5 years or something. And I had all these special abilities, like I was flexible and I could jump really high and I had a lot of fun with it. And the big thing is I saw masters demonstrations doing stuff that is absolutely impossible, like I thought. And like bending 7 pieces of rebar on the naked hollow part of the throat with black belts standing with cloth on their hands in a low stance, and he just went and they just all bent, and then they put him on the ground and we all came over there and tried to bend him back and we couldn't even bend him a speck. And I'm like, how is that even possible?
Wow.
And then wooden shafted arrows in the same demonstration, 7 of those didn't even leave a red mark neither time. Like I put my finger right here like that and it leaves a red mark. There was no
Yeah,
red mark on that guy's chest. I mean, on his throat. And
right.
later on in my training, because I trained for 30 years altogether, I saw a guy with long, pointy leaf blade spears in the Hung Gar training, the Chinese system. He put it right there and he went, and he bent it like that. And it did
Wow.
any person, it would go out the back of your neck. And he told me that they have this energy training where they sheet their body with this protective energy and they
Yeah.
dial it in so that it becomes like steel. And uh, I didn't, I actually, that was the last system I ever took, my eighth system, because I was tired of getting beat up. And I had a job, I was a bread truck delivery driver. And
Hmm.
I mean, I almost broke my shin on this advanced student's hip of all things because they he had sheeted himself in that pillar of energy. And
Yeah.
when I hit him, he just went like he got shook a little, and my
Yeah.
leg bounced ricocheted off, and I had this knot on my leg, and I was like limping around trying to deliver bread, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, and so I just quit. I quit training in schools, but I kept practicing on my own. And
Hmm.
after that healed, my instructor was like, "Why didn't you tell me? You know, I have this
Hmm.
special ointment that I learned how to make in China, and it takes your bruises away, and but I have to rub it in as hard as I can." And like I was like, ah. Yeah, like, these guys are brutal, you know. And so I anyway, it was the awareness that a human being can do something that is not nor possible. I had that in my mind, and so I knew that there had to be someone who knew about what I experienced and that could help me understand. See, I had a conflict inside of my being because everything happened, but as soon as I booted back up, now I had a conflict because I experienced myself as the being I always have
That
been,
you always are.
and now I'm back as John.
Right.
So I'm like, I have to understand this. And so I went on a hunt and I
So
researched and I yeah, go ahead.
you can tell I'm ready for questions.
It's okay.
So like so when you left this facility, you got your money that you more than deserved for going through and then
Right.
they're wanting to take more blood after slapping you across the face and everything. I hope they gave you tons of bread. Um, so did you tell your friends that
No,
were with you? No. Were you just
not
kind of at 19
well,
or you just kind of like what in the world? You're just
I
like
couldn't
processing
I
this.
couldn't tell them because well, I was already the wild imaginative one.
Hmm.
And so, and I had abilities that they didn't have. Even though Rick was a boxer, a really good one, I was still the open-minded wild one. And uh, I knew that if I told them that, it would push it over the edge and they would never believe me again. Like, and so I didn't say anything until I investigated it myself. And I went on oh yeah, by the way, we ended up finding work pulling trusses in a housing development that was being built. And then we made enough money. We met some guy that came out with a gun while we were sleeping in the truck. And he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And we're like, "Well, we're homeless and we're sleeping in the truck." And he's like, "Well, I own a construction company and somebody stole my generator the other, like whenever, like recent. And we told him what was going on, and he's like, "Well, you can just sleep in my backyard." And he gave us all a job. It was pretty
That's
cool.
wonderful. That's
Yeah,
wonderful. It
he was a
started
really
with
cool guy too.
it's scary. It started with a gun, but then it ended up with a job.
He
So,
wasn't pointing it at us. He was just holding it
okay.
on his side.
Okay. Well,
He's like, "What are you guys doing?"
yeah.
They're like, we were all honest, and
Right.
oh,
Sure.
there was pomegranate trees
Uh-huh.
and grapefruit trees or bushes, an orange bush or tree or whatever, and a fig tree. And we like by the time we left that yard, it was mostly consumed.
Oh, wow.
And,
You guys
uh,
needed that sustenance
there
really,
was a
really
pool
bad.
back there. I can remember swimming in the pool, and there was a lightning storm coming, and everyone's like, "Get out of the pool!" And I'm like, "What?" Like, and they're like, "Lightning!" And I'm like, "Oh!" And I got out. And
You darn kids.
yeah. And so I researched the heck at, oh yeah, so we ended up going back to our hometown in Washington and we had our adventure and uh it was too hot to stay there, man.
Sure.
And so we were out of there and let's see, I don't know, they went their direction and I don't even remember, but anyway, I don't remember. I think I moved into my grandma's house upstairs or something.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure they had that house since 1940, like in the same place, same phone number, everything. I found an old hardbacked phone book for sale for $1 outside of a bookstore from both two of them, 40 and 41. And I looked up their names,
Yeah.
same address, same phone number. And I'm like, whoa, now that's stability. And
Yes.
like, I guess maybe I should be paying attention, like, I didn't think that at the time, but I should have. Now I do. And uh so I was looking for a teacher, like because I already had teachers before. And
Hmm.
and so I would ask everyone because I found out through my library research they were called near-death experiences. And just for a footnote, when I was 11, I'm pretty sure I was 11. When I was in the fifth grade, I I already was searching for the mystery in life. Like I was in the library, combing the library, and I found Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, flying saucers, uh, I don't know, other things, probably levitation or whatever. And and I noticed that the authorities would perk your attention, take you on a ride, and then loop you back and say, but we don't there are no conclusions or whatever. And so now we're on the edge of our seat, tapping our foot, waiting for them to come up with an answer so that
Right.
we could believe it. I
Right.
was very tuned in because of the violent family I grew up in. I didn't trust outside self-proclaimed authority over me. From the age of 11 is when I shifted into sovereignty, and I only listened and trusted my own nature. And then my mom divorced my dad, and I ended up taking the martial arts because I still had insecurity and about my own survival, and
Yeah.
and I was getting beat up for it. I was attracting it to me, and
Hmm.
you know how a dog can tell if you hold fear.
Yeah.
And they'll bark if you're acting all tough. They'll be like, you know,
Yeah.
and you'll be like, and so they're
Yeah.
see, I knew it, and
Yeah.
they're like, like I smelled that,
Right.
and so I would ask everyone if they had basically if they had a teacher or had any meditation knowledge or any special training, and I finally ran into a friend of mine's friend. And I asked him, and he's like, "Yeah, I do." And I was all over him. And he's like, "Hey, calm down, calm down." You know. And he was talking with my friend. I didn't even know who this guy was. He was older than us, and I wasn't paying attention. I was probably jumping up, kicking the Victorian beam or something. It was in a Victorian house. I was doing something. I was pretty wild, and I mean, I was always practicing, and so uh, he walks over to me when he's leaving and he hands me a piece of paper and there's an address on it. I looked at it and he says, "Don't tell him I sent you." Because that was so intense, right? And I'm like, okay. So I agreed. And then I went and checked it out. And it's a place I walked by all the time in the older part of the town I grew up in. And I never saw it. And it said, "The Washington Psychic Institute, Church of Divine Man."
Wow.
And I'm getting goosebumps even saying it. And like I walked up to the door and I couldn't even turn the handle. My body was like, like I didn't know what I was walking into, right? So I ran to the store and I grabbed a Snicker. Back then I didn't know about organic non-GMO food, and I grabbed a Snicker bar and a Dr. Pepper and I slammed it and it calmed my body down and I just walked in and looked around. Nobody was anywhere. upstairs in the auditorium. Downstairs, there's big open area and rooms and kitchen. And then I felt like somebody was looking at me or like reading me. And I didn't know what that was yet. And I was like, but I felt it thoroughly. And so I just sat down and I was like, okay, go ahead. I said it out loud. And I just sat there. And then this lady comes in through the door. This guy walks in behind her, goes around into the kitchen and talks to her through the window and answers her questions. And he comes over to me and he says, "Hi, I'm Peter." And that's how it all began right there. I mean,
Wow.
besides me hunting to understand,
Yeah.
well, what is my nature? Like what the heck? And I started my training in meditation and personal healing work and then energy work with other people and learning how to ground out buildings and like do all kinds of stuff. And do remote energy healing work with people anywhere on Earth. Like
Mm-hmm.
I trained there for 2.5 years or so, off and on. Towards the end, it was off and on, depending on what classes they were offering. And
Mm-hmm.
I took them all except for I didn't take the clairvoyant training program yet, which was a 2-year program. Even though all of it was clairvoyant training, because you're seeing energy and you're tuning into things that you are not solid, you know
Mm-hmm.
the inner functions of our system and of life itself, and which we are life itself, by the way. We're made of life, and so we have the same nature as the nature of life, like because we're made of it.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us don't even think of these things, but that nature that calls through us for things, like when we that call is calling through us, that is our true nature, even if we forgot what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't not be what we are,
Right.
or we'd be out of existence. Like we wouldn't even exist. We are, no matter if we forgot and we think we're this other thing and we're looking for that over there and like living our life, we still are the nature we are. The nature we are when we drop our body. This is what
Mm-hmm.
I've discovered. And so uh, I trained and trained and trained and went into the deep healing process of all my traumas, which took quite a while. And I'm still working on a lot of it. And I'm still, see, what happens is you learn what you're made, how your system is designed, and you learn the inner level of your being, how it's already communicating with you through your
Mm-hmm.
intuition, realization, recognition, uh, comprehension is an internal, deeper level of communication, gut feeling, direct knowing. This is the inner voice that we're not even taught to notice. We're
Yeah.
paying attention to confirming our identity as we
Yeah.
built it and the way, not referencing the actual deeper nature of our own being.
That touches on, you hear so common people say trust your instincts, right? But they always think of it as something, and I used to be the same way. I used to it's something inside the body. It's just something in this physical body, instincts that come from your stomach or something, or your
DNA.
gut or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Never ever would, but so I think so many people think, their instincts and those things, they're just focusing on just this physical body
Yeah.
and nothing else, right?
Yeah. From
But
the frame of reference that we've gathered so far is how it works.
hmm
But I discovered through way too much to say on this call that shortly after we're born, we hook into the family collective of beliefs of what is acceptable and what isn't, and the way reality works here on Earth.
hmm
As and they don't even think of it that way. It's just like, this is, you're a guy. This is how
Right.
dad does it. So you do it this way. It's like all these levels of heredity, emotional, psychological, physical, like look at this, like, like,
Right.
and
The things that yeah,
yeah,
that we
and-
are,
yeah, I'm
and
gonna try it. Through all my understanding and training, and I practice all day, just throughout my day, every day, because I'll go to that real quick, because we are a living being and we're in living motion. And
Mhm.
so we're constantly coming into contact with things, and the natural process is everything we focus on, we compare it instinctively to our true nature, not
Hmm.
just our identity level. And that's how, and then it either feels right, like it's a match, or it doesn't. And
Yeah.
so even though we lost touch with the awareness of our true nature, we're constantly comparing every single focus and thought to it and getting a direct communication. This is in alignment with your being because it feels good. And like when we're laughing, that there is no negative feeling in that. It feels great and it throws out all kinds of garbage out of your system because of the high frequency.
Yeah.
But if the communication is you are out of alignment, if it doesn't feel good, that's a direct communication with the deeper levels of your being saying what you're choosing to focus on. We don't even think about choosing. We just live,
Hmm.
and is not in alignment with your nature. And then as we know, when we focus on anything, it magnifies. Like when we laugh more, right? And the whole
Right.
room starts laughing.
Yeah.
Or when we don't feel good and we start focusing on what is wrong, then that magnifies, and that's not the way the design here is set up. It's see, this design runs a specific way. It's
Hmm.
exactly designed, but it's also really vast. It's vast enough so that it's made so that whatever we hold as true for ourselves, our entire reality reflects it. We block out the infinite living data that doesn't match it. And then only what confirms what we know to be true comes in and confirms it. And we notice all that. And we can break it down to, I didn't even notice that car before I bought one. Now I see it everywhere. Like because it's an attunement process that is a natural function. And the deal is we're supposed to be aware of what we are, not have forgotten it. That's how this was designed, was made. And then we're supposed to be aware of not just the physical body, but all the other energy levels and layers and the energy system and the meridians and the people call them chakras. I've named them living information vortexes because
I
that's
like it.
exactly what they are. They
Hmm.
each one is a different level, a dimensional level of your experience. Here, 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 your solar plexus. Each one is a different dimensional level. It's the information that runs that level of your reality. It's like a
Hmm.
program in a sense, but it's alive. And it was originally created by that very deeper level of your being that constantly is giving you more ideas about what you're focusing on. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
there's a reason for that. Everything has a reason and a purpose. It's an exact design and formation. And what messes us up is forgetting everything and learning this whole other system that is full of distortion and dysfunction.
Hmm.
And the reason it's full of it is because it was never was it referenced the truth of the nature of life in the formation of that understanding of life. And since the nature of nature was not included, now we're like living in an artificial house, coated in artificial, even if there's wood in there, it's coated with poisonous, toxic, out fuming varnish or whatever, or
Right.
and
Yeah.
and we're like kind of hiding, creating a security because we lost awareness of the true security that we are self-generated and held alive by an all-knowing, fully connected level of our being that is that big ball I ran into or whatever. That's the way I saw
Mm.
it, but I don't know if that's we always what do you call that? We translate into what we do understand mental pictures of an energy level thing.
Yeah.
And that in itself can be used as a mechanism where you could actually make stuff up. And once you know the base formula, that's how all systems work, by the way. When
Hmm.
I do this, this is what happens. And you give the instruction to the deeper level of your being. And then When you do that, that's what happens. And so, like in the Christian Bible, where Jesus, they're like, how the heck do you do this stuff? Like,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, I don't do these things. My Father does them through me.
Right.
It's that all-knowing, all-powerful, fully infinite creative being that we are. And we're made of that energy that creates universes. And when the Bible says we're made in God's image, it's not really talking about our body. It's talking about the being we are because we're made out of that energy. It's almost like there is nothing, there is no outside. Everything is within creation or within God, as people call it. But that's a sketchy word. A lot of traditions are like the name that cannot be worded or cannot be spoken.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment you think you understand this vast, infinite being that you are literally created from that energy, it's like, okay, molds you like clay. Whoop, you're alive, and now
Right.
you're another it, but on a
Yeah.
a different level. And
Yeah.
you can realize more and more what you are and come into fuller union with the deeper levels of your own being. And I highly recommend it because if we already know what happens if we forgot our true nature.
Mm-hmm.
That thing right up there, true you, right there. And and so it's an ongoing thing. We're on the move. And so what I've ended up doing is developing, being shown from the deeper level. See, what happens is instead of subscribing to outside self-proclaimed authorities over you and they have the answers, and if you deviate, you are now made outcast or fined or you lose your license. Like
Right.
that's a control system. And it can only exist when you have forgotten what you are and what you're
Mm-hmm.
made of, the true living matrix of life, not the artificial matrix that movie was made about.
Mm-hmm.
And, with Keanu Reeves and all that.
Right.
And it's a real thing, but it's not like the movie exactly, but it's pretty dang close. And do you ever see They Live with Roddy Piper in there? It's a
I
little
don't
bit
think
like that
so.
too.
I feel like I've heard of it.
It's pretty
Maybe.
spooky. When I saw that movie, I was like, that's true. Like when I was younger, I just recognized that there's a lot of truth in it. And I was like,
Yeah.
there's more going on here than, like they're letting us in on, like, but anyway, we don't need them to let us in on anything
Mm-hmm.
because we already are what we are. And that
Yeah.
the nature of our very nature is in full function, whether we're aware of it or not. And
Mm-hmm.
this design, you can know how it works so you can seamlessly drive this car without running into brick walls constantly. And,
Mm-hmm.
crossing wires, pushing the wrong buttons, putting it in reverse and you go forward or vice versa. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like good things happen. I love that, but so do bad things. And I just hate it when that happens. But the fact is they both happen exactly this through the same function. And
Mm-hmm.
because we're not aware of it, we're not in control of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've done, I trained in 5 different systems. Mainly I was learning those other systems to get the certification, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just because I already knew like the best. What I discovered is the first system was the best one I could have learned through because it covered the whole spectrum, not just, and it started with you and cleaning up your mess, like getting organized in here and like connecting with the deeper level of your being and learning how to connect to the planet and course its energy through you and to the higher cosmos and course it through your being and how to do tons of stuff, how to create frequency and like apply it to energies and how to remove it from your system, how to undo belief systems, these dysfunctional programs that plague us till the day we die.
Yeah.
We cannot escape them.
Right.
Oh yeah, you can. And that's what I decided to do. My nature is like a ninja nature in a way, like a spiritual ninja, like
Mm-hmm.
like finding the direct path instead of having to go jump through this hoop and that hoop and this hoop. like I did, like we all do. And
Right.
and uh and so my nature, see what happens is once you realize that there's an open communication line with the all-knowing level of your being, your intuition and all that, gut feeling, direct knowing, comprehension is part of it. Because analytically, we cannot orchestrate the function of comprehension. That is taken care of by the deeper level of our being, thank God,
Yeah.
in there or whatever. And like um so these deeper functions are the main. In the Christian Bible it says build your treasures up in heaven because this is pretty much temporary. And if you're all into, like you can have whatever you want here, especially if it's functional and, or, you could, it's not about judgment. It's about if you're solely focused on objective reality and the identity that you created without referencing the truth of your own inner nature. Like, and
Hmm.
so it's actually a mistaken identity.
Hmm.
And it's not required that we actually wake up in this life and that's a good thing because most people like live and die thinking there's something they're not. And then they find out, as you know, through all the NDE, the
Right.
thousands of NDE accounts, tens of thousands. I don't even know how many are going on out
I
there.
know.
Like that's it's like eye opener. Like this is what I have come to call it is the more that there's always more to the story, no matter how developed you become. And I call it the more that we are and the more that is.
Hmm.
Because as we become consciously aware of these our internal nature and the natural processes of this multidimensional interface we call our body for this dimension, once we start discovering the true layout, um, there is always more to the story. I'll just go back to that. It's like you get this upload from the deeper level. Realization, insight. Well, get ready for the next one because there's a further refinement of what you just discovered.
Hmm.
And so you're like open and it's almost like you start awaiting the next upload because what you're focusing on, you're going to get a direct recognition of what that is instead of pulling from the description shelf without being on the other path. And you put it like if there's a tree right here, we see a tree, we project what we know it to be for us, what we have come to know it to be so far, over the living being itself, the actual living, breathing being that has in its own way its own awareness and consciousness. And so for humans, it's two things. We are, oh yeah, what time is it? Whoops. We are what we think we are because the
Yeah.
natural psychic immune system deflects all counter information so we can have a coherent experience with what we have unwittingly, without realizing it, chosen to believe and to know to be true to us. I didn't
Hmm.
word it perfect, but so we come to know that that's true through our experience, but we don't know how all the other levels work and how that experience happens, how it even is possible, how it comes together. And so we end up everything is a projection to us, and we end up and if we turn around and aim it at ourselves, we are only what we have come to know ourselves to be in relationship to everything outside of us in this case, because we didn't reference the internal subjective nature as we
Yeah.
built our identity. And so we get it gets braided in. I know myself in this relationship to this in this way, and it gets braided in and it becomes a closed system to where when someone offers more information that is beyond the boundaries of that, it is a direct threat to your identity
Hmm.
because your knowledge, the way you've come to know life to be is you and your identity is braided together. and there's a natural mechanism to protect those boundaries. And so if you don't do it right, you will cause them to lock. If you're trying to help someone, out of a rough a cycling pattern, they will lock down and hold tighter, and it will magnify. And so your very intention, and you'll be looked at as the enemy. Like,
Yeah.
how dare you? Like, that's blasphemy or whatever, so you gotta, someone in my position as a facilitator has to really be listening to the internal communication that shows you what you are looking at and then what focus to hold so it can move the energy into that position. And this is how it happens for all of us all day, every day, whether we're aware of it or not. When I do this, this is what I expect to happen. That's a direct instruction, and that's the way it's lined up for you to be.
Hmm.
By your own hand, in alignment with the very source of your being. And so I know time's getting short. And so that's what I do a lot of remote energy healing work, helping clear out the clutter of people so that of everyone, so that their process can process and come to fruition or closure. Like, because we hold, what happens is we end up contracting. We're trained to contract, to tense up and be stressed out. And we lock down the process like blocking both ends of a garden hose.
Yeah.
And our process, and it's all the way from birth. And it's like fight or flight, fight or flight. So I always show every client or every person that comes to me, which ends up being a friend usually,
Mm-hmm.
because we're all peers, we're all equally capable, we all are already intelligent, we're all already have a huge body of life experience. You don't need to start over. You already started, and we're all like vastly intelligent. And so
Mm-hmm.
what I do is come in, if someone wants me to show them, to point at what's already in full operation within them so that they can become consciously aware of it. Now they can actually operate it on purpose and in alignment. Like, and then the other biggest thing, the biggest thing, the first thing I show everyone is reversing stress and fight or flight completely. Like, on the move throughout your day, because as you come into contact with things, boom, it creates stress. And you have to come back to your home station. You dilate your system, your mind settles out. You come back to your home station, you're in a state of being, and then you address it.
Oh
Outside
yeah.
of, you interrupt the trigger and it disperses it. And you retrain your system to open so your power is in full operation. And instead of contracting and now you're like a frog that just got stepped on,
Yeah.
like you're like frozen. And
I think yeah, I
yeah,
think people need that now more than ever. It
I'm
seems
ready.
like.
It's my like life calling, is to, because I the deeper level showed me the distilled version outside of religion ideas, politic ideas, um conflictual ideas that are a problem. If you take that route, then there's a battle. And
Yeah.
the truth is we all eat, we all drink, we all breathe, we all sleep, we all go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on the inner level, there's that same baseline with how our system functions. And it's the inner level of myself gave me the phrase going direct instead of jumping the hoops and being lost in the matrix, really going
Yeah.
direct into the true living matrix that we're made of. And that
Mm-hmm.
that is the true ruler. The laws of the universe, I don't really like the word laws, but the word laws point to the nature of life, like the
Mm-hmm.
natural function of life. And you can map it out and say, oh, well, that's a law or whatever, but actually it's the nature of life, and you're made of that nature. We all are. Everything is, even a dog or an ant or
Mm-hmm.
a cell or an atom. It is where it's all inclusive, and we can know that. And I won't do a healing program. I do a healing and an instructional program and deep dive under, comprehension talks with people for, I will only do it for 4 or 6 weeks because,
And
oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go
No,
ahead.
because you are, like I mentioned before, you are already intelligent. You already are alive and you are made of the same infinite creative energy that all life is made of. And you are your own power. You are the author of your world. There's like sovereignty, and then there's a level that people call it higher self or whatever, but that puts it outside of you. The deeper level is in full unity. And
Hmm.
this level is sovereign. Like we are differentiated. Each of us is a unique expression. Actually, everything is. There's not one blade of grass that's the same. And so what we're after is the recognition of our nature and our sovereign unity together
Hmm.
so that we can maintain our boundaries and we're still unified. And I'm getting truth bumps all over my body when I said that.
I love that term.
Yeah,
I've never heard that before.
it's truth bumps.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And
So
and
yeah,
so what?
so I'll what I want to what I my theory is if a therapist does
Hmm.
not put your power in your hand right away and show you the function that he can be perceived that you're not recognizing so that you can operate your system smoothly in alignment, then they're the wrong person to go to.
Hmm.
Because all they're going to do is have you loop through the same issue, which magnifies it and guarantees at 10 o'clock every Thursday for the next 50 years, you're going to be coming to them. You're going to actually pay their house off. What someone should be doing, especially where humanity is in their evolution, is just handing someone, facilitating the opening of their awareness, and that's it. Because you are your own teacher and always have been from the deeper level. No one climbed in your body and thought for you and did the work for you. You looked and you engaged your system and the deeper level of your own intelligence, which is what you are, your own very intelligence, showed you how to do it.
Hmm.
Or you showed yourself is the way to say it, because otherwise you put it outside of you. And so you get all the credit for where you are right now. If there's issues, it's because we forgot we need to just understand the internal processes of our own nature. That is the way that your life, all life works. Like the
Hmm.
universe would have crashed into itself by now if there wasn't that unifying exact inner principle that creates synchronicities, creates you guys watching this. This is being created on the new moon, by the way, which means new cycles, beginning of new cycles.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and it's like uh, you know, your own inner intelligence can take you there, but if you want the learning curve shortened, that's why I offer the like 4 and 6 week of deep dive interface and like the whole thing is helping someone will use the biggest issues in someone's life and
Hmm.
heal them and then walking through techniques of how to do this for yourself. Actually, that's part of it because it's live on Zoom, like and we're like I'm like tuning in and we're like working together and it's amazing. I discover stuff constantly, and that discovery is internal. It's like you open the door when you engage on this level, and all kinds of internal knowledge is revealed to us from the deeper level of our own being, but we have to knock for
Hmm.
the door to open and then stick our foot in that door so it
Yeah,
can close, like and
yeah,
stay focused. And so like, yeah, I one a big love of mine is like watching the light come on in someone else's mind or in their being. Like
yeah.
because
You can see
we
when
we
it
kind of
happens.
already know all this stuff, we just haven't placed it.
Uh-huh.
You already have the working material. It's just a matter of opening the door and understanding your nature's natural creative function. Power is not the way we've been taught, it's creative power.
Yeah.
Everything is created. You look around you in your house, we are creators. Look at what has been created.
Mm-hmm.
It's the nature of life itself that we're made of. We are life. And I think that somehow it's drummed out of us to where we don't even connect the fact that we are nature. Like we're shown that it's dangerous and that we got to hide indoors or the tornado is going to rip us, kill us, or just kill earthquake. Just, we're taught to fear nature. And,
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason is because once we realize we're made of nature and that nature is for us and holding us in positive evolution and looking out for this level of its own self, that it's like the best parent you could ever imagine, plus and then we're discovering what we are and how we wield the very source energy of life with every focus and every feeling we generate, every thought we hold. And so we're learning to become responsive, recognize that we are creator energy, creators. We look around us, like here's a pen, here's proof. Look at all that stuff up there. I mean, it's like, look at this thing, it's
Yeah.
like there is no end of creation going on. And humans are amazing. Being human, this species, I don't even like to call us humans. It's like a creator species. We're like little godlets, and we have the opportunity to wake up to what our nature is while we're here.
That's
We
so
don't
cool.
have to wait till we drop our earth suit. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can literally discover. That's what Jesus was saying. Build up your treasures in heaven. Like go into the internal reality of what you are now, because that is applicable when you drop your earth suit. It's still the same way it works.
Mm-hmm.
See? It's the nature of life is the laws of the universe everywhere within life. And we are that nature also. And so I uh, encourage everyone to know that you can do whatever. I mean, if you're inspired, you can pull it off. It's not that hard. It just takes consistent focus to shift from one rowboat into another while you're standing up in the water. And I show people the stabilization techniques to where when there's a wobble, normally we'll grab what we know best back into the other rowboat, but you stabilize as there's a wobble and you continue to transition into the new awareness that you're opening for yourself, which is permanent forever. That
Wow.
awareness will never end. You will not lose it. It is you. And you are beyond this life when you drop your earth suit. Look at I'll say 100,000 NDE videos or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, there's no doubt. I mean, people are looking at those for a reason. They're trying to
Yeah.
understand what nature is. It's like, well, what is going on here? It's like it's actually the true nature of yourself calling through you to understand what you are.
It's
Like,
just like starting to wake up.
yeah,
Yeah.
to all see that level of ourself will not violate our choice. That's what free will is. But if
Mm-hmm.
you ask me, so that way when you're focusing it, it will deliver that description off the shelf to you, what you've decided is real for you. It will pop it up in your head and because it runs the inner functions, that the core level of our being. But if you ask me, free will is only two choices, really. You can choose to not remember who you are and to live out your life however you want that way, or you can choose to wake up to what is the permanent level of your own being and this world and how what that interface is and live that way.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
want
really,
to.
there's only two choices. Like in one of them, we don't even know really that we're making it because we're not really thinking about anything but what we've learned to hold our focus to and what we look for,
Yeah.
to confirm our identity and to pay the bills and to live, and that's really, unless you really, really, really love your work, that's just gets old, like when you don't go for the deeper, the cool stuff in life, what you really are and what really is going on. The more that is what I call it.
Yeah.
Because, and by the way, enlightenment is like, it's a series of realizations of the light coming on. Like,
Hmm.
oh, and you recognize what is already.
Hmm.
It's in you already. It's functioning now, like clairvoyance. We see pictures all day, mental pictures, communication, remote viewing. Like, there is a trick to it, but the fact is, every time you think of your toilet or your stove and you see it in your mind, you're remote viewing. And the way to remote view in the present moment is to be present when you think of it and you see the picture now in the present moment,
Hmm.
instead of pulling from the past, a past memory, and seeing that picture. That's the only difference.
Hmm.
And we're using all these functions constantly. You don't have to be some special enlightened being to be what you are. And when you are what you are a special enlightened being. And so it's like, but you're special anyway, because we're like a unique flower on the eternal tree of life. We're like a bloom, and we also are the tree and the branch. And I think
Hmm.
it's the branch that is more of our deeper level, and the tree is more like the overall larger ocean of creator energy, life, primer. I don't know how to name it.
Yeah.
The moment you name it, you lock it down, and then you block. If you lock to it, then you block yourself from receiving further refinements of that understanding. And usually we will only lock down to something because it reinforces the identity we've built so far. And if we go past it, it's like we have to hold to it, or it's just what do we call that? You freak out because you,
We've been so indoctrinated
yeah,
to
yeah,
everything.
it's scary to go past what you know is real, unless you have someone like me, like pulling out the blowtorch to the ice cubes, like or just working with you. But I really dial in with each person individually,
Hmm.
and I'm listening to their nature and
Hmm.
working actually with their true nature also, because I'm aware of mine. And
Hmm.
so it's like it's a, and
Like
I,
that symbiotic relationship or something.
yeah. And the leader is my inner level, because when I'm focusing, my purpose is to assist. I already have that set. And then I listen. It shows me what's going on. And then it surfaces what focus to hold. Because when you hold a focus, the inner level moves the energy into that alignment.
Hmm.
That's how you heal or do healing work with others and heal yourself. Is you listen, like that's how I've come to, that's how I was, that's how it ended up being for me. And we're all unique beings, and who knows what kind of formula some massive magical formula will come through you, and you can
Right.
like create an entire new approach, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't block any of that for a second.
Hmm.
It's the way life is. Like everything, it's like the true nature of life is absolute unique diversity, never ending.
Hmm.
Like instead of this one idea that you have to measure up to, and then you're wrong if you don't. That's how they get all of us individual, unique creator beings to hold our system believing there's only one way, so that they can control us by controlling what is acceptable in a cultural sense. And then we
Hmm.
all start policing each other, like, no, it's Caribbean, not Caribbean. No, it's Caribbean, not Caribbean. And then like you're not supposed to do that. And you already said that once before. And it's this control thing where we've forgotten our unlimited self-generation. And
Yeah.
and so we kind of lock ourselves off from it, even though it's what we're made of. And since we're made of creator energy. What we hold, how we hold our function is the way that it's held for us by the deeper level. And
Hmm.
that's the all infinite level, the all knowing infinite level. Of course, it's growing. us. It is in charge of our evolution. Like, so we can overdo it and end up dropping our Earth suit, and then all of a sudden, bing, like you're like, whoops, I took that a little too far. And like, or I should have looked when my instinct told me to, because I got hit by a logging truck, like, like, have you ever noticed your head will just turn and there's someone looking at you 100 feet away
I
and
have
you
had that
didn't
happen
sense
before.
it, but the inner all-knowing level is aware of it and turned this level of its own self's head.
To recognize the,
Yeah, and then that person looks away, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
that is a weird feeling.
yeah, or like you drive 10 miles and you were totally like in your imaginal screen, you're like playing out all these things you're processing or thinking of the future or what, and all of a sudden you're like, you've driven 10 miles and you're seeing your images more than you are the road. It's like, who the heck was driving?
I know.
Like, how did I get
Yes.
here already? It was
Yes,
that part of ourself that was
for
doing.
sure.
We lock it in and it does the movement, it does the alignment. And we don't see, the good thing is we don't have to know these things because it is anyway. And so
Hmm.
we can actually live a full life or whatever kind of life we want. We don't even have to think about this stuff. And
Hmm.
we'll live a full life and it still gets added to the larger being's direct experiential knowledge. This is a discovery mission forever. Like we're constantly joining on a larger level different dimensional experiential things like Earth, but
Hmm.
even non-physical. And so it's okay if you don't go this route. It's okay. It's you will wake up when you drop your Earth suit. And how whatever your main beliefs are usually how your transition will happen. Like the deeper levels will Jesus will pop up or a loved one you were really connected with, and it'll probably really be them. Or
Hmm.
but everyone will play the part until you wake up all the way, and then you're back online. And
Hmm.
the delusion like evaporates, or the illusion of this reality as the only reality will evaporate.
Right. Right.
And so we're in good hands whichever way we go.
I
And
love that.
it's probably I recommend that if you want to have a grip on it and be able to actually guide it into positive reality, and not be having crappy experiences, good ones, you have no idea how either of them happen, but they happen the same way, through the same function, through the same creative application of focus through belief. And those inner processes are so easy to just put on the table, easy to recognize in yourself, and then
Hmm.
easy to undo and recalibrate your system.
Hmm.
So, that's my whole life calling, is to help people out. I won't do it for long because you're already intelligent. I already said that earlier. You're already what you are. You're already made of infinite creative power, and not violent power, infinite creative energy power.
And so
Like,
you help people recognize that and kind of get them back in tune with that, right?
yeah, walk them through how to do it for themselves, but at first I'll give them a hand, like clearing out clutter, helping them like apply the baseline distilled approach to healing deep trauma. Like whatever is most prevalent, whatever is most on someone's mind, we use that as the working material, or a little later on and do something lighter if that's too much at first, and then
Hmm.
like apply it, walk through it. See, the deal is we're building a living experience. We're building a body of knowledge that's experiential,
Hmm.
and so it's you're building a new body of knowledge. Even though you already are what you are, you've been activating something different, and so
Yeah.
now you become bilingual. You're already fluent in living the way you have been. And so now you're becoming fluent and living the way your nature functions, and just rediscover, or actually it's more of discovering what you are through what you thought you were in this life. And it
Hmm.
all gets transformed on the way as we work through it. And it's the deeper level that I walk people through. I point out all these natural processes of how these functions happen. It's already working, but we don't recognize what it is. And so we freak out.
Yeah.
And someone else has to change for us to feel better, or this situation has to change in order for me to feel safe. And that's what you got to put up with until you realize how it actually is happening.
Hmm.
How it is, how creation unfolds in living motion, and you are made of it. And so it's really important to know your nature.
And 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 so uh if people want to, book sessions with you, get in touch with you, would it tell us how we can do that? Tell us your website, your email, what do you yeah,
Oh,
and
my
then
name,
I can
my name is
include that in the show notes and everything.
right. My name is John Kelley, and I did have a whole different thing going on before, but I decided I just go direct, like I was being shown to go direct,
Yeah,
and so I just named it JK, John Kelley, JK Energy Healing dot life, LIFE. And that's my website. And the last two off the second to the last and the third to the last offering is the 4 week and 6 week program, and then there's like 11 more. You just go through there like doing energy healing with your pets. I even worked on a fish one time,
that's
and it
great.
helped too.
That's
And
great. So
in
many
Canada,
people
like
I
I remote tuning in.
so many people look for that, for help for
Yeah,
their furry, family, their
right.
pets and everything.
I highly recommend to anyone who has the calling to give me a shout. Like I walk you through remembering or recognizing all these things within your nature, and and how to apply it in a way that connects you with the true living matrix so that you don't get snared by or you can untangle yourself from the other one. So we better wake up while we got the chance, and get ready to come home before we even go home all the way.
I agree.
Yeah,
That Thank you so much for sharing your story. I really
that's
thank you for
pretty
your
intense.
time.
I'm sorry.
It's it's great. And I'm gonna share all like your how to get a hold of you in the notes and everything so people can so that they can, start this work for themselves. And um any
Right.
closing thoughts before we go?
I pretty much said everything. Um, what comes to my mind is just to say you are life. And look what life is. It's like serious business. It's like universes and galaxies and star systems and physical, well, multidimensional interfaces. And I mean, it's going. It's happening right now. And
Hmm.
we can just wake up to what that is and get in alignment. Just lock in to our nature. Discover how this design works so that our life will work out better for us because we're the ones choosing it.
Yeah.
If you feel drawn, give me a shout. If not, well, your inner self will lead you somewhere else if you're after it, and you'll
Yeah.
find a way, or it'll teach you directly. A lot of time, I was really concerned for humanity. My inner level, source level, told me when you are in full awareness of your conscious relationship, which I ended up naming the primary relationship, when you are aware of the nature you are, that is literally infinite creative power, and nothing and no system can override it.
Hmm.
And so I was like, and now it's like my mission to show people how to do that so that they won't have to take what do you call those, a diversionary route on the way back
Hmm.
home. because of psychopaths and in charge of all the high technology.
Yeah.
Um, it is a concern, like I mean, we're all toxic right now. We have to get on board and just start cleaning our system out, eating pure foods as pure as we can, and growing the one, like we need to filter our water, especially the chlorine and fluoride out of it, and and the pharmaceutical drugs and like that are in the water. And we need to like start getting clear and just step up and take responsibility, which is, you know, deciding you want to wield the infinite power you're made of on purpose. And then you end up helping out because after suffering, wouldn't you want to help? Like
Mhm.
once you start healing your own, the healing through your whole system, you'd be like, I mean, your heart's activated. You'd be like, I gotta help my brothers and sisters,
You're
like
right.
you got to do it in a way that's careful and not become another religion, like just go
Yeah.
direct and it's like food, water, air, sleep, and on the inner level, it's really basic how our
Hmm.
system and nature is and functions. So um, if you're after it, let's go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
I'll
seriously,
be,
for your
yeah.
time.
Eh,
Okay, thank you again
All right.
and
Take
have
care,
a great
everybody.
day. Yeah,
It's a new moon.
it's a new moon,
New
new
cycles
start.
begin on new moons.
Yeah.
And the other ones are like more of a harvest on full moons.
So
So,
we're gonna making the most of this, right?
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Take care.
Thank you, you too.